I don't know about you, but I was a little bit shocked at the results of the 2018 Bay Area Council poll. More than half of the respondents felt that the Bay Area is going in the wrong direction, compared to 27% just 4 years ago. Almost half said they were likely to move out of the Bay Area within the next few years. The top three most important problems: the cost of housing, transportation, and poverty or homelessness. All three are very much interrelated. And in San Mateo County, the top issue is, you guessed it, transportation. And SamTrans is a part of the solution. Improving one improves the others. Welcome to Take Notice. I'm Lisa Charney, and our guest today is Dan Lieberman, Public Affairs Specialist with SamTrans. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks for having me, Lisa.
So SamTrans has their mission, is pretty ambitious.
I like to think so, yes. The mission statement of SamTrans is to create a transportation system that improves people's quality of life by increasing mobility, reducing congestion, protecting our environment, and helping our economy keep working. And this really is, it can be somewhat complicated. It's a matter of, we're both getting people where they need to go, but at the same time also, reducing congestion so everyone can get there besides just our riders. In terms of economics, it's making sure people can get to job centers where they need to go to work, and while at the same time making sure that people who don't have access to a car still can stay mobile, can move around, can get their kids to school, can get themselves to work. So it is a challenging goal and something we're trying to keep up with.
Well, that's great. It seems like it's constantly evolving, depending on how transportation obviously evolves and how worse it gets. So it seems like you guys are constantly chasing your tail, it seems like.
It is. It's definitely an ongoing challenge. I grew up in San Mateo County. And I remember when these were just sleepy little suburbs.
Right.
And if you had asked any of us in the 90s, this is going to be a major economic hub, I think most people would have thought that you're crazy. And we're trying to keep up with a much stronger and larger economy, a lot more people than were originally intended to be here, on infrastructure that was not necessarily designed for it. So we're trying to stay nimble and stay ahead of trends and keep doing what we can do to make sure people get where they need to go.
And SamTrans works with Caltrains too. Can you talk about your collaboration with them?
Sure. Back in 1992, SamTrans, along with the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency and the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Agency, formed the Caltrain Joint Powers Board, which started up Caltrain service. It's been running ever since. Back when it started, it was probably around a third of the ridership that we currently have, it's really, as the economy has gotten so much stronger, as people have been moving up and down the peninsula, and we've had major job centers popping up all over the place, it's become really vital for the region. SamTrans tries to work with them as much as possible, trying to, we interface with the various stations that we have, often through buses. In addition, through the Transportation Authority, we'll fund shuttles as well to get people out to particular job centers, and this is all just part of moving people up and down the peninsula.
True. And moving people up and down the peninsula, it has radically changed. Transportation in our area, from self-driving cars and Ubers and Lyfts and things like that. How are you keeping up with the changes?
You're very right on that front. The Caltrain tracks were laid during the Civil War. So we're really working off old infrastructure and trying to keep up. So what we try to do, we try to have as many studies going as possible. We try to figure out where people are moving and how trends are changing, so we can stay ahead of those and anticipate how that's changing and make sure that we can serve those people.
Great. Do you have any examples on any new things that might be coming out?
We do. We absolutely do. So one is launching just this month. It's the ECR Rapid Service.
Oh.
The ECR route goes from Daly City down to Palo Alto on El Camino. It is our most popular route. ECR Rapid is going to be an express service running along that same route, doing about 11 stops between Redwood City and Daly City.
Oh.
We think this is going to help move people a lot faster for people who just want to get up the peninsula. So it's so we're looking forward to getting a lot of people on board with this. We think it's going to be a big success.
Now, if somebody was to take that route, what would it normally take without the express?
It's without the express, you could be looking during peak traffic times of over 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
It's, now we're hoping to shave like at least a half an hour off that during peak hours and do a little bit better even off.
Yeah, I mean, that's also a big problem too, is how long it's getting people to drive short distances. I mean, it's, a half-hour ride is now averaging maybe an hour, if not a little bit over.
It's as 101's gotten more crowded, a lot of that traffic has gone off onto El Camino and other major thoroughfares, and it has slowed down that commute. One thing we are doing on that front, next year we should be launching traffic signal priority on El Camino, which essentially, it works similar to with an ambulance when they're coming up with a siren and the light will hold for them. It'll do the same thing for our buses on El Camino.
Really?
Which should speed things up a little bit, keep it a little bit more efficient, and stop with all those stops and starts.
Oh, that's interesting. Is that just on the express or all?
No, that'll be on all of our buses running on ECR. The Santa Clara VTA actually has this running on El Camino down in Santa Clara County, and we're looking forward to repeating that success up here.
Wow. That's great. Okay, one quick question though.
Shoot.
That a lot of people may not know and are curious about. Do the buses have Wi-Fi?
It's not yet. We're getting very close. The new buses we've purchased this year include they have Wi-Fi capability. We are in the early stages of shopping around for Wi-Fi providers, and we're hoping we're going to have that available for our riders on at least on our new buses starting next year.
Today happens to be our election day, and Regional Measure 3 is on the ballot. Will this help SamTrans?
There are two projects that we're working on that could potentially be receiving RM3 funds. One is the Express Bus Study, which is looking at launching somewhere between 4 and 7 routes to be on 101, possibly 280. That'll be moving people up and down the peninsula on those very congested corridors. The other is the Dumbarton project, which I'll be talking about in a little while, and really has some potential to really change up the region.
So two programs that you guys are doing have me really interested, the SFO bus and the Express. Can you elaborate a little bit on those?
Sure. Route SFO is going to be a bus route going from the Millbrae Transit Center to SFO. It's going to be running every half hour, starting early in the morning, going late at night, to get you there in about 9 minutes, dropping off at every terminal. This is aimed primarily at people who are taking Caltrain north from south of SFO. It's going to be an easy way for them to get over to the airport for just $2.25. It's got a built-in luggage rack. It's even got a nice paint job, so it's going to be a very nice and easy way to get yourself over to the airport.
Wow, and there's no direct way right now.
It's currently you can go through BART, but we're thinking particularly when coming up south, this is probably going to be a little bit easier for folks.
Oh wow, that does sound very, very convenient. And very inexpensive.
You can find out real soon.
That's true. So also the Express Bus Study has me intrigued. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. That's in its early stages, but we're looking at somewhere between 4 and 7 routes that are going to be serving sections of mostly 101. We're looking at 280 as well. The thought with this is, tech buses have become just part of the background in San Mateo County and the peninsula in general. We want to make sure that those options are open for people who don't necessarily work for a large company. That they have an easy way to get through the freeway, and also at the same time reducing congestion. So it's we're hoping to launch that in 2020, and we think that's going to be very helpful, and a lot of people are going to want to take advantage of that.
What exactly is that though? Is it an express lane that you're looking into, or
well, it's
a bus or a?
We're looking at bus service, but it's going to dovetail nicely with the Managed Lanes project that the Transportation Authority is working on with Caltrans, which is going to extend a carpool lane up from the south end of the county up to 380, which is going to help those buses move a lot faster and get where they're going more efficiently.
Yeah, well, that's great. Your buses, SamTrans buses, they have always been well known for accessing people that have mobility issues. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how you guys aim toward maybe designing your buses for people that have mobility issues?
Well, it's all of our buses have lifts and lifts or ramps equipped, so it's they're all accessible to people with a wide range of mobility needs. We also make sure that all of our drivers are well trained and can take care of a lot of people in that situation. What's really helpful, we actually also, if you just call in with the number on the screen, we'll have our staff personally walk through your personal issues, figure out how we can best serve you, and as well as looking into into other options provided by nonprofits to make sure that you can get where you're going just with as much ease and dignity as possible.
And that's part of your mobility. I don't know if I'm saying this right. Mobility management.
That is part of the mobility management process.
That's great.
Yeah.
What's SamTrans' roles in emergency services?
Well, we're all waiting for the big one to hit. When that eventually comes about, SamTrans would be tasked with CalOES to be working to provide bus bridges and work around whatever infrastructure is functioning. I'll be, as the PIO, I'll be very busy at that point, letting people know where those routes are going to be setting up. It'll be taking people free of charge around around on the roads that are working to get people where they in and out of where they need to go. So in that situation, it could well be that freeways are out of commission, possibly for a while. So it's and we'll be happy to be there, pick up the slack, and make sure that we can get people around whatever scenario we have.
Life doesn't stop just because there's catastrophes.
Certainly not.
That's got to be very hard though to plan because you don't quite know. Yeah, you can't plan accordingly because routes change and things may happen.
Thankfully our safety folks, as well as the San Mateo County sheriffs, are constantly running through scenarios, figuring out how that would likely play out, and we're ready to go when that happens.
It sounds like you are.
I'm going to find some wood to knock on, though. I'm hoping that doesn't happen anytime soon.
You can go ahead and use that head right there. It's hard as wood. So you touched on a lot of new exciting things that are coming in the near future. But what about down the road, pun intended? What's going on in the way far out future?
Well, this year we actually purchased our first 10 electric vehicles.
And
I got to ride one just a few months ago.
Cool.
They're provided by Proterra, which is a company based in Burlingame. So
local.
We're happy to keep it local. And it's really just a wonderful way to ride. I mean, we have a well-maintained fleet. They're clean. They're really great buses. But this is this was really special. It's the batteries are located in the bottom of the vehicle. So it's pretty bottom heavy, which results in a very stable, smooth ride. It's also very quiet because it's all electric, and it's also got a nice bay window in the back.
Because, they do. That's right. Buses now don't have that.
They're required. Diesel buses put out so much particulate matter they have to put a filter in the back. Not necessary when you're on any particulate matter. So it's if you want to do your reboot of The Graduate, you can finally do that now. It's But it's and it's just a great way to drive. It's a great way to ride, and and also we partnered with Peninsula Clean Energy last year. So SamTrans is using all of its power from green and renewable sources. So this is a green fleet,
wow.
And that's we're starting with just the 10, but our board has stated that they don't want to purchase any more diesel vehicles. So we're going forward. We're looking to go all battery with the plan by 2033 to have a fully electric fleet.
Oh wow!
And in addition, they also come with USB ports and with Wi-Fi. So this is going to be a really nice way to drive.
Well, it'll be a much more enjoyable ride then for your passengers.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's pretty intriguing.
I'd like to think so.
I know, that's pretty cool. Are the fares on those buses going to be a little bit more money?
Nope, fares are standard across the fleet.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great.
I'd like to.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, but I got more stuff to talk about.
You do?
I do.
There's more?
There's more.
There's more.
Still having
I
too
would
much
love
fun.
to hear about this.
Okay, well, so let me cover a few. Let's see. There's the way to go. There we go. Microtransit.
Okay.
Another thing that was announced recently, we've partnered with UC Davis for some of their eggheads are going to be studying the concept of microtransit, whether it's going to be feasible for us. Now, microtransit, which I have a feeling you haven't heard of before.
No, but I might know where you're going with this.
Well, what we're looking at, there's two big pieces of it. One is looking at routes where they don't necessarily need a traditional 40-foot bus, but rather could be taken care of by a shuttle or by a van pool. But also maybe moving away from, again, for certain routes, moving away from fixed schedule service and instead having something that's more on demand, which is something that is more technologically possible and a lot of people are more comfortable with. And this is so this is really interesting and could allow us to have a nimbler fleet of smaller vehicles that can get to more locations. So we should be hearing more on that later this year, and that could be really exciting for us as well.
That sounds like it could be a game changer.
I think it certainly can be.
Are we talking like? I don't want to mention any corporate names, but order through an app type of thing, and
it's I think that has gotten a lot.
And
of
a ride
people,
comes to you.
That's gotten people a lot more used to it, so I think it's gonna help us to reach out to a lot of people.
Oh my gosh, that is really cool.
Mm-hmm. But wait, there's more.
There's more.
So we're also in talks with our with local community colleges about extending the Way to Go pass to community college students. Currently, that's generally open for employers, but as you know, it's our community colleges aren't necessarily built in the most convenient of locations.
That's true.
So we want to do more to make sure that those folks can get where they need to go. Particularly because studies have shown that people who start riding public transit when they're younger are happy to keep doing it in the future. So it's really an investment for us. And furthermore, we launched just last year, we launched a shuttle going from the Daly City BART station out to Skyline, and it's been a smashing success to the extent that Skyline actually got another shuttle running the same route just to deal with capacity.
Really?
Right? Where it's there seems to be a lot of demand, and this seems like a smart way to meet it.
Yeah.
But all that pales into comparison with what I'm going to tell you next. If you heard anything about the Dumbarton project?
No, my head's about to explode. There's even more?
There's even more. So SamTrans often meets with large employers throughout the county, just talking about how what we're doing, what they're doing, so we can stay ahead of trends. When we were meeting with Facebook, we mentioned something that was on the drawing board for a while, which was looking at the Dumbarton corridor, and their campus being located right next to it, they were very excited and wanted to know more. And they funded the entirety of the $1 million study, which we appreciate.
Wow.
So that study came out last October, and has some short-range plans. Were to put in an express lane on the Dumbarton to accommodate both private buses and the Dumbarton Express. That would lead to a flyover lane to put people right onto 101 and make that nice and smooth. The longer term is really ambitious and exciting. Looking at bringing back the Dumbarton Rail Bridge, which has actually been out of commission since the 50s.
I've never even heard of that.
Well, it hasn't been doing much for a while.
Yeah,
and you're far too young to remember anything from the 50s. But so initially the plan would be just to have that being a shuttle going across the bay. Longer term, we would hopefully interline that with Caltrain on this side and ACE and Capital Corridor on the other, and then we're really looking at a Northern California rail system. Allowing people who live far afield but still work out here, which is something that we've all run into, people who are living in Vallejo or Stockton and still have jobs out here, and giving them a mass transit option. In the meantime, also putting together the first Transbay, transit tunnel of this type since BART did the Transbay tunnel back in, I believe, the 80s. Yeah. So this is, and just tomorrow, which will be in the past for your viewers, but our board will be hearing from, we'll be making a decision on whether or not to enter into a negotiating agreement with Facebook on, as well as the plenary group, to figure out how that project could be funded and how they can be a part of that process. So some really exciting things are happening with Dumbarton, and we're very excited to see what happens next.
Wow, I'm just exhausted. I mean, listening to everything that SamTrans is doing. I mean, your job must be exhausted. I'm exhausted just listening to that. That's a lot going on.
They keep us busy. I mean, as you said earlier, transportation is the #1 priority of people in San Mateo County. It's clearly on a lot of people's minds. So it's a good time for us to be ambitious. It's a good time for us to try new things. Put a lot of programs out there, get people out of their cars, make people's commutes more efficient, and generally just get people where they need to go.
Well, I'm telling you, and as a personal commuter, I drive into work and I cross a bridge every day. I thank you, because it's very frustrating to have my commute double and sometimes triple. So it's nice to know that there are solutions coming and that people are listening. It's very frustrating to be a commuter and you don't feel like we're being heard. And so and I thank you, and I'm sure I speak for a lot of the commuters when I say thank you. SamTrans is doing a lot of good, and you guys are fixing the problems that we're facing.
Thanks a lot.
And I appreciate that. The ongoing changes in San Mateo County have resulted in a lot of challenges in transportation. And SamTrans is trying some new and exciting things to keep up with those challenges. So the people who answered the poll in the beginning, I don't know if you remember that, they need to take notice of what's happening. Speaking of taking notice, thank you for watching. I'm Lisa Charney, and have a safe day.